Hello and welcome back to Rising Sun Previews. This is day 2.
Hello.
Yes, I am once again joined by
Me.
yeah. I thought we established that your name was Yay.
Yay.
So yeah, we're going to just get right into this. Rising Sun Previews Day 2 Shadow. I bet you thought I'd never revisit Stash. This expansion has 5 cards with special backs. Let's look at Ninja.
Can you, for those of us who only joined... Okay, so I started playing Dominion when it came out, and then I played... So the base set...
When it came out?
Yeah, and Alchemy, and then I stopped playing until I rejoined in 2021. Can you remind me about Stash, please?
Okay, I have a caveat about Stash, though. Stash is probably the only Dominion card that I have never played with.
But what is Stash?
Stash is a...
I only know Stash from the Jetpunk quiz.
Stash is a 5-cost treasure that gives you 2 coins and has the text, when you shuffle your deck, you can take this out. This isn't exact wording, but you can take this out and then you can put it anywhere in your deck, and it has a special card back so that you can identify where it is in your deck.
Okay, and that was part of promos,
it's a promo,
right?
Yeah, okay. It's a promo. As a promo, I never owned it. It was never on any of the online clients that I played on. At least I don't think. Maybe it was. I don't know. I honestly don't even remember which ones I played, if any, before Dominion.games. I think I played on at least one before Dominion.games, but I don't actually remember. So I certainly have never played with it physically. I haven't played with it on Dominion.games. Even if I did ever play on one of the other clients, which I think I did, but I don't remember which one, I wouldn't have been likely to have played with Stash. But yeah, so Stash has a special card back that allows you to see where it is and to put it in a certain spot in your deck.
All right.
So, but now we're going to have new cards as special card backs, starting with Ninja.
Ninja! Beautiful card art. I love it. No notes.
Yeah, that is pretty nice. So plus 4-cost action, attack, shadow. +1 card. Each other player discards down to 3 cards in hand. Not really surprising that the Ninja is an attack. And then you can play this from your deck as if in your hand.
Whoa.
When shuffling this, put it on the bottom of your deck. So I don't know about you, but I think I'm going to need to continue reading about this before I have any ability to talk about this card.
Okay.
So the back lets you know that you put it on the bottom when shuffling it. The front, meanwhile, tells you that you can play it from your deck. You play it only whenever you could otherwise play an action from your hand. You have to be allowed to play an action. It doesn't get around that. You can play it as a normal action play or via cards like Throne Room that play action cards from your hand. It leaps out of your deck and into play. IRL, I recommend having the Ninja peeking out of the bottom to remind you it's there.
Okay, so it has to be on the top of your deck?
No.
Okay.
No, it just has to be in your deck as opposed to in your discard pile.
Okay.
But it'll be on the bottom of your deck, so you'll draw it if you don't otherwise play it before then. But you can play it before then. It's as if it was in your hand, and it's it says +1 card, but it also kind of intrinsically has another +1 card attached to it because you can play it from your deck, which means it's kind of in your hand the whole time. So it's you already got +1 card from it. So it's really +2 cards instead of +1 card.
So okay, so it's on the bottom of my deck, but then I have 6 cards in my deck left.
Mm-hmm.
And then I choose to play the Ninja. So I draw the top card, and then the Ninja is in play, or does it stay at the bottom of my deck?
It's in play.
Okay. So then I discard it.
Once you go through cleanup and all that at the end of your turn, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
is that a new emoji?
It is a new emoji, a new Ninja emoji. exciting. Although I'm guessing that this is not actually.
What is Dumb Ninja?
Yeah, this is not. This is
mean?
not from. This is not on our server. This was probably Cave.
Oh, okay.
Cave has the ability to post emojis from not the server.
And Zurich hasn't given it a fancy name yet.
Well, it's because it's not. We don't have it. Like, we just. We're just. It's just you. Once somebody else clicks an emoji, like, you can click it too. But
I know. Yeah. Okay.
All right. So down. So Donald says, and then what is ninja? Well, it's +1 card and a militia attack. Only it's not really just +1 card because it draws itself. If you see what I mean. Yeah. So that was what I was just talking about.
We see what you mean.
We do. Unless you fail to play it from your deck and you have to draw your ninja, then you're sad, right? Yeah, that is a good point though. It's only +2 cards if you actually play it from your deck, not if you play it from your hand. So it's like a witch militia, right? Like in the sense that like witch is like +2 cards and then give a curse. This is like, +2 cards instead of +2 coins, like compared to militia. So like I would
say like the defining witch characteristic is the curse.
Well, yes,
so I don't think it's a witch.
What I mean is that like
it's a smithy militia.
Well, I mean, it only draws 2 cards, not 3. So it'd be like a moat militia if you want to say it that way. But like what I'm getting at is that I don't know, like it has typically been the case, not always, but it's typically been the case that like witches, cursors draw cards, and militias give you coins, or in the case of like Berserker, like payload.
I see what you mean.
Margrave is an exception, but yeah, like I don't know. It's just like it to me it feels like, aside from the whole shadow thing, which is obviously a big deal, to me it feels almost like a base card. Like you could have militia could have just been +2 cards instead of +2 coins, right? Like it could have been. It's a pretty straightforward design, and its militia happens to be +2 coins and not +2 cards, but it could have been +2 cards. And this is it's basically what this is, except then it's also the shadow thing. So which to me is like it's interesting. It's actually like a very like straightforward card aside from the whole shadow thing.
Yeah.
I do think in general that this is probably, well, okay, hold on. If you've changed militia from +2 coins to +2 cards, I think that probably would make it worse. I mean, it's a little hard to say, but I think that would probably make it worse. But because this card has like the flexible timing that it does, you can, make sure you play it when you're unlikely to draw stuff dead, or when you have plus actions or whatever. I think this card is better off for having the +2 cards versus like the +2 coins of militia. So I would tend to think that this is going to be stronger than militia.
Yeah. I would say like the draw makes it stronger. Yeah.
Yeah. So sure. In other words, this should be really quite strong. I mean, I don't know.
So you think 4 might be a little too low?
No, not necessarily. I think you're going to open with it a lot though. Like, if you would open militia, like you will open this. And maybe there are some situations where you would open this where you wouldn't open militia. I mean, it's still competing for the same, slot in terms of like, oh, you have your trashers or whatever that you might want to pick up. But again, because that this card is going to be on the bottom of your deck, like you can combine this with a terminal, another terminal, like a terminal 3 cost, and then like be reasonably confident that you're not going to have to deal with terminal collision in a way that obviously isn't true of like militia.
But why? Well, if you see your terminal, if you see the other terminal on turn 3, you can't play both of them.
You just played this on turn 4.
Yeah, but that means you have it in hand, and that kind of defies the purpose.
No, you would have 12 cards. This is the 12th card, so you see 5 cards, and then you see 5 more cards, and then you have 11, 12, and this is like the second card down, assuming that your turn 3 buy didn't draw you any cards.
But it just, like, you have to play it, like, you're gonna see the other terminal at some point, right? And you want to play the ninja on turn 3 or turn 4.
Yeah, so I'm saying if you see your other terminal on turn 3, then you can play the ninja on turn 4, and you're still getting full value out of the draw. In fact, you're going to trigger a shuffle at that point, because it's going to like pull itself out of your deck, and then you're going to have 1 card left in your deck, and you're going to trigger a shuffle. So I mean, I guess that's not ideal. Like,
why would it trigger a shuffle?
Because
when you have 12 cards in your deck.
Well, because you'll only have 11 once the ninja jumps in, like, out of your deck.
Yes.
So
it draws the last card.
Oh, right, because it doesn't actually say +2 cards. Okay, good point. Oh, that's actually better. Right, okay. It draws itself, and then it draws another card. Okay, right. So, yeah, and right, and the fact that it only draws, like, 1 other card makes it less likely to draw your other terminal dead, or your other non-terminal, for that matter, if that's relevant. So, like, if you don't see your other opener on turn 3, your other action opener on turn 3, and you play the ninja on turn 3,
you're not likely to
yeah, you're only 1 in 6 to draw it. So, like, yeah, I think this should be very strong in the opening, and strong in general. Like, it's super flexible, like, in terms of, just, like, obviously the timing with which you play it, which gives you some reliability. Yeah, it seems very good to me. And it'll just be like a cool mechanic, I am sure.
Yeah.
All right, so
it's always fun to see, like, I don't know, with what else can be added and what else, like, springs from the mind of the game designer. But it's like, whenever it's there, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That's great.
Yeah, that's very much how I felt about, like, Prophecies, and it's like, oh, we can just have these game state modifiers, like, wow, okay,
it's really cool.
But yeah, so definitely interested to play with this one. It seems really cool.
Yes.
All right, so next up we have a couple more shadows. We have Alley and we have Fishmonger. So
that doesn't doesn't super strike me as, like, shadowy. I don't know.
Well, Alley makes sense. I don't know
but
about Fishmonger.
Not with that card art. It doesn't.
That doesn't really. That's not really like the dark and scary Alley. That's just like
I feel like
a normal street.
Missed their assignment there. The Fishmonger art is beautiful. It reminds me, I find it evocative of, like, your specialist, your carpenter, your weaver. It's very much of the same ilk, and I think it's beautiful.
Yeah,
the alley art is beautiful too. I just find, like, that's not what I think of when I think of shadow. Which, to be fair,
not a shadowy alley.
Yeah, Fishmonger is also not what I think of. Shadow.
No, okay. I don't really know why. Like, it should be. I mean, Dominion doesn't really go in for this sort of thing so much, and maybe it wouldn't be, like, otherwise thematically appropriate. But if it's like, if it's somebody is going to be mongering something shadowy, it should be like drug monger or something.
So it should be like opium.
Yeah, sure. Opium den.
We go across the
opium den. Yes, that should be the shadow. I mean, I guess we don't know that there isn't an opium den. But...
True. Alley, I would have, like, a shadow alley. I kind of think of, like, Shantytown.
Yeah, that's closer in vibes for sure. I mean, Shantytown isn't specifically an alley, but I agree that, like, that evokes, for all that art gets knocked on justifiably, it does evoke the right mood for this.
Yeah. It's a beautiful card art, though. I'm not... Yeah. Just maybe. Okay.
Yeah. So we.
Anywho.
So Alley, 4 cost, action shadow, +1 card, +1 action, discard a card. So you can play this from your deck as if in your hand. No, it's a fugitive.
How?
Because it's actually +2 cards, plus 1 action, discard a card.
Oh, because of the shadow effect.
Or Ferryman if you prefer.
Mm.
Yeah. So long as you see it, or like, you know, play it in time, which you shouldn't have any trouble doing because it has +1 action on it. So, and then yeah, so this is like a this is seems to me like it's more reliability stuff. It's like you have it on the bottom of your deck, and then it's like, okay, this turn I'm gonna kick off, won't worry about it. Next turn, oh, I don't have what I'm looking for in hand. I don't have a village. I don't have a draw card, whatever. Okay, I'll start with the alley and I'll, you know, cycle a little bit and then try to find.
How is it a fugitive?
Because it's going to effectively be +2 cards and discard a card.
But like one of the cards is the alley, so it's not.
Sure, but the net effect on your hand size is neutral.
Okay.
Like, you put this into your hand size has gone up by 1. You play it, your hand size has gone up again, and then you discard a card. Well, actually, no, I guess it is. Wait, is it actually a...
Thinking time?
Yeah, hold on.
I'm holding.
No, right, because you play the alley, right? Yeah, okay, I'm confusing myself. Yeah, you put it in your hand, you're +1, you play the alley, you're even. You draw the card, you're +1, you discard the card, you're even. Okay, yeah, it is hand size neutral. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, how is this possibly not true? Okay.
Okay, sorry, I was interrupting.
No, it's we're all good. But yeah, it's fugitive, it's ferryman, but it's one that shows up with like the timing that you want. Which is nice. To me that doesn't seem like a particularly powerful effect. Like, in the same way that I don't think that like Scheme, for example, is a great card because it, like, the opportunity cost of adding it over adding something that's like more like that's actually boosting your deck's capability rather than just its reliability is like often like not the trade-off to make. Like, I think this card might have some of the same problem. The one difference is that like just being a sifter at all like does boost your deck's capability at least a little bit, like, potentially, because obviously like moving through your shuffle faster gets you to your other stuff faster. So it's not, so I think it's better than Scheme, but like I do think it's like as a 4-cost like, you know, fugitive or ferryman, I think it's not, I don't think it's going to be like amazing. It'll be a solid opener when you don't have like some terminal 4 that you want, because like it's basically just a lab at that point. And we kind of talked about like, you know, lab in the opening it like yesterday with the poet thing. Somebody in Discord made the comparison to Ironmonger when they were talking about poet, where Ironmonger is kind of like a lab in the opening because like you can discard that card and like get, you know, if it's a copper, you get a copper, so you get a coin, so it's kind of like you drew the copper. If you discard an estate, it's better than that. Like, so like Ironmonger is a pretty good card in the opening, right? So like there's kind of a similar thing here with that, and with poet, but yeah. Any thoughts?
Not really. I think this is the type of card that I just have to play with to understand what it does. Just like from the text, I don't really have like the analytical insight much.
All right. Well,
I like Ironmonger. It's on my like list.
Yeah, Ironmonger. I mean, I think Ironmonger is stronger than both Alley and Poet, both in the opening and in general, if for no other reason in the opening than because of its interaction with the states, like the fact that it just like actively draws past the estate and still increases hand size. But I mean, I think it's not like a huge difference. But I think, yeah, like getting more Ironmongers is going to be like a much more relevant thing to do than getting more alleys. And so, like, if you're not getting the alley in the opening, then how often are you going to get it later on? Maybe not that often, unless you've got like a workshop or something.
Yeah. Okay, so the Fishmonger is an herbalist class.
Yeah, 2-cost action shadow, +1 buy, +1 coin. And again, you can play it from your deck as if in your hand. Of course, that means it has like an effective +1 card. Which sort of out of the box makes it better than Herbalist. I mean, Herbalist does have the treasure top decking, so it's not like strictly better, but whatever. I don't think this is very good. As with any plus buy card, like sometimes you're gonna get it because it's the plus buy, but terminal +1 coin is not very good. The fact that it like replaces itself in your hand does help. And it's not like you have to worry about it drawing another card dead. So like unlike another like terminal +1 card, terminal +1 card is like pretty awkward in general. But this isn't really terminal +1 card because it's just putting itself in your hand. So you're not drawing anything dead with this.
So it seems nice for an opening.
It's still only
depending on what else is in your deck, but like the fact that you don't draw anything, it's like, okay, if you see your other terminal, then you play that, and then you play this as your regular action when you draw it. I don't know.
I mean, I think it's all right. Like it would depend on it's comparable in effect to silver because like you get the extra hand size, but you only get +1 coin rather than +2 coins like you would from silver. So it's like,
but you get a buy.
Yes, you get a buy. So like if you care about the buy in the opening, then that makes this look better. You usually don't care about the buy in the opening, but sometimes you do. But I mean, the fact that it's terminal is going to mean that like a lot of the time it's just like not something that's worth spending your terminal space on. It's just not like doing enough with that terminal space. Like sometimes you will need it, but I suspect that this is a card that I will more often be trying to avoid than not.
Yeah.
Just because of that. But I think, I mean, you know, it's definitely like significantly better than Herbalist. Like don't get confused about that. It is significantly better than Herbalist. Like Herbalist is a bad card. All right, so a little bit more about this. So Donald X says Alley is a little filtering that waits until you need it. Fishmonger is a plus buy that lurks in the shadows. Fishmonger is like +1 card, +1 buy, +1 coin, but the card it draws is itself, so you don't have to worry about it drawing something dead. You may also want to think through exactly how it affects openings. Yeah, that's actually a good point because this gives you a little bit more of a guarantee than like the fact that you can control when you play this means like if you're trying to hit 5, right, you draw your 4 coin hand, you're guaranteed to be able to hit 5 with this.
Yep.
So that I could see that being relevant. The downside to it is like if you're trying to hit 5 so you can buy a terminal, like then that could be kind of awkward depending on what the terminal is. But it might be worth it. Yeah. There's not really like if you open just this, there's actually no way that you can miss 5. I mean, it would be kind of a weird choice to open just this, but there is no way you can miss 5. If you combine this with like so the way that you can miss 5 while opening this is if you either open with an action that is like anti-econ, so there's possibly you bottom deck one of your coppers and then you hit like 3/3 or something, or if you open with another terminal and that terminal, even if it generates money, happens to line up in such a way that like you have like you still have 3/3 in your coppers, and then like that terminal doesn't generate 2 coins. So like you play that terminal the turn you draw it with your 3 coins, and you have 4, and then you play this the other turn, you have 4 again. So it is possible to miss 5 with this, but only in specific circumstances. So like if you really just want to hit 5, like for sure, like, you know, maybe you do open with this. Like if Recruiter would be a good example, like maybe Sentry, because this also like has some synergy with Sentry in that like, you know, it's on the bottom of your deck. So
yeah, like, and I would say like that's the case for a lot of boards, is that you want to hit 5.
Well, it is, but like it does matter like how you get there, right?
Sure.
Like if you like, if I'm just looking to play like witches on a no village, no trashing board, I'd probably rather just open double silver and like take my chances than open with this and like be guaranteed to have this terminal in my deck that I'm like never gonna play and is basically just another junk card. But
well, I mean, I think like the fact that your example is like a no trashing board makes it more likely that you will play it, because like on the turns that you don't see your witch, you can play this.
That's true. Yeah, it does have that flexibility. I guess it depends on like how like dense the like it, you know, are there cantrips on the board or something, or like are like, you know, how quickly am I going to be moving through my deck? If it really is just like terminals, then yeah, it would probably be fine. And like the fact that if you do end up having to draw through it, like because you don't have the opportunity to play it, it ends up missing the shuffle, like very likely because it's on the bottom of the deck, also helps with that. So yeah, yeah, maybe I'm not giving enough credit to like how like useful it is, given that like it does kind of stay out of the way. Yeah, that's I guess we'll have to see how that goes. Like,
yeah,
but yeah, it's definitely a good point. All right. Then another thing that Analytics mentions, and this stands to reason, but if you have multiple shadows, you get to order them on the bottom for when that matters. And they don't have to be on the bottom for their ability to let them be played. They just have to be in your deck. They can still be played from your hand too. It's just not usually what you prefer. So this could, like, I'm trying to think about like the situations where they wouldn't be on the bottom. Is like, you know, you have
something like jewels.
Well, yeah, that's just gonna put one card below them. But like if you got like an in. Oh no, I guess if in, you still shuffle the cards, and it says when you shuffle. Like if you got like deck inspection attacked, maybe somehow, or like you, I don't know, bury, I guess would do it. Like you bury some stuff underneath. I don't know. For the most part, it seems like they're probably going to be on the bottom. Like it's going to be. It seems like it would be fairly unusual that they wouldn't be, but because it's not optional, right? It's
no.
When shuffling, put it on the bottom of your deck, so you don't have a choice.
Maybe it's just, I don't know if there's like more to it than if you have 3 shadows, you still get to play the shadows that are not directly on the bottom of your deck.
Oh yeah. That's
maybe that's all that means. I don't know.
Well, I think it does mean more than that. Like if you do bury or you do have jewels, like it is still going to work. And I think the point is it doesn't matter where it is in your deck. You can play it out of your deck. But
but wait, jewels. Oh no, yeah, okay, yeah.
But how often is it going to come up that it's actually not on the bottom, or like with other, you know, shadows on the bottom or whatever? Like I wouldn't think that often, but maybe there's some circumstance that will come up that I'm not considering. All right, so we've also got 3 more prophecies.
Yay!
So we have growth. When you gain a treasure, gain a cheaper card. Okay.
Wow. Oh my god, these prophecies. Wild. Well, growth. I'm not a fan of this art. I like the upper part. I find like the bottom part too big, I think. If like the plain part would be smaller, I would have appreciated that. Okay, I'm not a fan of it. It's fine. It's fine.
This is fine.
This is fine. It could be better. This is fine. Yeah. Well, okay. So the good news is the prophecy is not like you have to activate the prophecy. So you don't have to gain cheaper cards when you maybe open silver. So that's good.
You don't have to gain an estate with your silver.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's
Right.
the good news. And then I don't know, it just like it depends on what treasures are in the deck, in the kingdom, I would say.
Sure.
So it can potentially be very, very good.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just point out Haggler often incentivizes buying gold where you wouldn't otherwise.
Yeah.
And you know, that's
yeah.
Like I think that'll happen here too. I mean, of course, you're not like Haggler. You can get multiple Hagglers in play, but even when you just have one, like
imagine
often,
you
like
have a platinum King's Court board or something.
Unfortunately, you cannot King's Court a platinum, but yes, nonetheless, I think that would be pretty strong.
But like, I mean,
yeah.
Oh, you mean for the multiple, like the chain effect? Like
I just
you
mean
gain
that
with platinum, you gain the King's Cash, and then you gain.
Well, that is not what I meant. I just meant that like platinum and King's Court do not have any intrinsic synergy between them.
No, but you want a King's Court in your deck, and like this way you can get both a platinum and a King's Court.
You probably do. There are cases there, like I don't know, King's Court in particular, like does tend to push like pretty treasureless decks, but yeah, I still think it would probably be pretty good most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
these prophecies.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll certainly be interesting with loot because loot costs 7. So, like on most boards, pretty much any action card is going to be cheaper than a loot.
You can't. Oh, okay. It's not you buy a treasure.
When you gain a treasure. Yep. Yeah.
I want to plunder prophecies mix. Plunder Rising Sun mix. Dual set. Dual set mix.
Well, between this and Panic.
Yeah.
Imagine that you... Well, I mean, you won't. But imagine you had this and Panic on the same board. Wow. So it's like, every time you gain a treasure, you gain a cheaper card, but then you have to return the treasure. And it gives you plus 2 buys. I know that you won't actually do this unless you're I don't know. Probably will be allowed to do it on Dominion games, but it certainly won't be the default. But
yeah.
Anyway,
there's gonna be a multiple prophecy tournament at some point, I'm sure.
Yeah. For me, I mean, we haven't looked at the next two, but for me so far, this is easily the least crazy prophecy growth. Like it's a potentially powerful effect, but there are times when you're not going to particularly want the treasures and like and it doesn't like,
and it's still like the cost is still high, right? Even if you gain, I don't know. It all depends on the king board of the king board.
Yes.
the king's board, of course, but I mean there are treasures like Tiara, for example, that are like very handy. But then, yeah, it comes with a
silver, which comes with an estate.
With a poorhouse.
It comes with a silver, which comes with a copper, which comes with some card that has a negative cost.
Yes, the negative cost cards.
That's
the
clearly
famous,
coming. That's clearly coming later this
cards.
week. Just you wait.
Yeah.
Negative cost cards. It's like when you buy this, you lose. It's like Nomads, except that. Like instead of giving you money back, it just like earns you money whenever you buy it. But it gives you negative VP. I don't know, whatever. Okay, so
yes. yeah, okay, yeah. No, I see what you mean. I still think it can be in like the theme, I guess, of accelerating growth.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a
accelerating growth, like accelerating the game, like speed wise.
Yeah, it's not a minor effect. I just think it's less crazy than the other ones. Soothsayer though, Soothsayer loves it.
Like, I mean, all the gold gainers, right?
Yeah, sure, but like Soothsayer, I guess as gold gainers go, like Soothsayer is the gold gainer that like is the most like, I didn't necessarily get this to be a gold gainer. Like, I guess Leprechaun,
Governor.
Yeah. Oh, Governor. Oh my God! You can gain a gold and gain a Governor. Oh my God! And then your opponent gains a silver, and they have to gain an estate. I mean, they might not, right? There might be a 2 cost, but they might have to gain an estate. That is bonkers. Okay, that is actually bonkers.
Governor is an attack now.
Governor. I mean, if it wasn't already, it is now. Like, you gain a gold and another Governor, and they gain a silver and an estate. Like, oh, brutal. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, look forward to that.
Yes.
Next up,
Enlightenment. Treasures are also actions. When you play a treasure in an action phase, instead of following its instructions, +1 card and +1 action.
Okay. Amazing.
I don't like the color composition of this. I don't like this seat type of thing. Yeah, not a fan of the art.
Well, you just have to reach Enlightenment, and then I'm sure you will enjoy it. But
yeah. Okay, so when does this apply? This is like a specialist black market storyteller situation.
No, it's just, you can just play them
in an action phase.
Yeah. It's like, you have Way of the Treasure Pig.
No, but you have to be able to play the treasure in an action phase, is what I'm trying to say. You can't just...
No, they're also actions. You can just play them. Like, I mean, you have to have an action left, but you can just play them. And then they're just cantrips, like vanilla cantrips.
Oh, okay.
It's Way of the Treasure Pig. It's like, this is really funny to me. Like, I don't know where I would put it on the scale of craziness, but I find it like very conceptually amusing. Like, reaching Enlightenment means like you don't care about your treasures. You just like whatever. Just get out of here.
That makes a lot of sense.
I don't need to trash them. Just cash these coffers. I can just like cycle them. It's fine. Like I said, you can't. But it also means you can draw your treasures dead, which is hilarious. Right? Like, I mean, not really, because obviously they still generate money. But in terms of like your deck composition, if you're like, you somehow end up in the situation where you've got like a terminal draw card, and then you don't have like other treasures in your hand, but you draw the treasures and you're like, oh dang, I could have continued my turn if I had these treasures in my hand, and I could have cantripped them so I could find my village. But I didn't get to. I guess all I can do with these treasures is buy something. I find this very funny.
Okay.
It's also, I mean, it's potentially also like quite powerful. Like I said, like it substitutes for copper trashing, and it's also just flexible. Like, if you need to, play your silver or your platinum as a pig in order to, continue your turn, you can do it. And then you can also you can do stuff like you can throne your copper for plus actions. Like, if that could be your village, right?
That's true.
Yeah, if you and you mentioned Black Market and Storyteller, you can turn Black Market and Storyteller into super villages. Because you like play Black Market and then be like, cantrip copper, cantrip copper, cantrip copper, cantrip copper. Now you have like a bunch of actions, and you haven't even decreased your hand size to do it either. I mean, other than playing the Black Market itself. Yeah. Storyteller, it's at least a little bit more limited, because like Storyteller was going to draw cards with it anyway, so it's mostly by getting the actions. And potentially, depending on what treasures you're playing with the Storyteller, like it's less draw. But with Black Market, it's just like, yeah, like, we just play all the treasures. Boom, 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 boom.
Okay, Way of the Treasure Pig.
Wait, actually, it occurs to me that with this in play, not only can you do that with Black Market and Storyteller, you have to. You don't even have the choice. This is like a huge nerf to Crown.
Oh, that's true. Oh, yeah, it's not optional, right?
Yeah.
Ooh,
Crown is awful with this on the board.
Oh, no.
It's like just a bad version of TR.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I just... Huh.
Does this make it less good?
Well, yes, but I mean, that's still only one specific card. It makes the Black Market Storyteller interaction less good, like, obviously, like, because it's just less flexible. I mean, it still might be a net benefit. It would depend on the board. Like, but it's certainly...
It's more complicated.
Yeah.
And, yeah, you really have to, like, think of when and which chargers to play and which to save, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, the fact that it's like you have to do this. Huh. I'm trying to think, are there any other coronet? It's a coronet nerf. What else? I don't know. I'm sure there's other stuff. Like, I mean, it interacts with things that can play, you know, that other, just whatever else plays treasures in your action phase, like, you know, Courier or Specialist. But whether that's a good thing or a bad thing for them would, of course, depend.
I was gonna say, for Courier, it seems like a good thing.
Probably. But not with, like, Horn of Plenty, you know,
True.
or something like that.
True.
Yeah, with Coppers, it's like, yeah, great. My Courier is now, like...
Does Courier have to play a thing, or is it optional?
It's optional for Courier to play something.
Okay.
Yeah. It also means, like, Vassal gets way better, because you can just, like, open, like, stuff Vassals into your deck without any trashing. I mean, you still have your estates, but, like...
Well, I mean, you can't open it, because you have to activate the prophecy.
Okay, that's true. And, like, Herald, too. Herald and Vassal and stuff that works like that. Like, just like, oh...
Just make Herald stronger, why don't you?
Yeah, so basically, like, stuff that plays stuff off the top of your deck, or out of your discard pile or whatever, like, is gonna get generally stronger with this.
Right? Ironmonger is also...
Ironmonger, so
it's more of a village in that
yeah,
case,
Ironmonger, you still are going to get the coin and you're going to get the action, which is obviously nice. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of interesting interactions to be found with this.
Yeah. Always read carefully.
How about, like, okay, here's the most important interaction is if you are playing in a game with Charlatan, you can now have Courtier reveal Curse as a triple type.
Beautiful.
And B, you can have Maroon Trash Curse as a triple type.
Beautiful.
This is the most important thing about Enlightenment.
Yes. Thank you for bringing it up.
All right. And finally, we have
Flourishing Trade. Cards cost 1 coin less. You may use action plays as buys. What?
Okay.
Okay, sorry. Can you explain that to me?
Okay. So, first of all, people were wondering what the heck plays as buys meant from the, like, little, like, preview snippet things. Well, here you are. Cards cost 1 less, I assume doesn't need any further explanation. This is like...
What? I don't understand. Okay.
So you got your global
canal.
Canal. Yeah. I mean, it, you know, and it could show up with other cost reduction, but which is, I mean, that's already, like, quite an accelerant. You may use action plays as buys. So I'm pretty sure what this means, and I'm pretty sure we could read just what Donald X said in the Discord. But I'm gonna try to solve it first.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure what this means is that
instead of the action, you gain a buy.
Essentially, yeah. Like you start your turn at the start of your turn. You start your action phase. You have an action and a buy, right? And 0 coins and other stuff like that. But like you have an action and you have a buy to spend. And like obviously there are actions that can give you more actions. There are actions that can give you more buys. There are treasures that can give you buys, blah, 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 blah. But like
if you don't play an action, you have your action left. You can use this action as a buy.
Well, it says action plays. So I think what it means is you can play an action for +1. It's kind of like a
way.
Like a weak way of the monkey.
Is way of the buy.
Way of the buy, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Because it's not like plus action will be plus buy, right? That's not what it is.
Yeah, we're gonna find out whether Donald X meant this in a different way than I'm interpreting it.
Okay.
But that's my interpretation, is that like you're essentially you're converting that plus that action that you have, whether it's the one at the start of your turn or the ones you've accumulated since then, into a buy, but you have to play an action card to do it, like to do the conversion.
It's not like when you don't have any action cards, you can't use it.
I would think so, yeah.
Okay.
All right, so let's see if we get this right.
Okay.
Growth means you buy platinum, and it comes with King's Cash, which comes with gold, which comes with...
Amazing.
Yes.
Enlightenment is a funny one, letting all treasures just draw your next card in a pinch. It has lots of other gameplay too, though, making your vineyards bigger and letting you lurker platinums and on and on. Ooh, I hadn't thought about vineyards. Yeah, that's nice.
Vineyards, oh man.
That's pretty, like, explosive. Yeah. Potentially.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay, we were wrong. Flourishing Trade makes cards cheaper and also lets you use action plays as buys, which could be handy. So, if you play a village and then go to your buy phase, those 2 action plays you had left can both be buys. So
can both be buys. What does that mean?
You just get
to choose. That sounds optional.
You get to choose to spend them. Well, it is optional. You get to choose to spend the actions to gain buys, but like you don't have to play an action card, which is a lot more powerful and does make more sense given like the power level of these in general. But I find the wording strange because like,
so it's like basically if you have at the end of your turn, you might want to budget for not maybe playing all of your terminals because you want buys instead, right? Is that?
Yeah,
okay.
Right.
Okay.
You can essentially, it is that essentially you can convert like any amount of plus action to plus buy. Like, I'm not a fan of the wording. I would have probably said something like you can like spend, maybe you want to throw it in at any time, but like you can spend any number of actions to gain that number of buys or something like that. Because like action plays to me reads as like I am playing an action card, like, and I do understand that's like, well, these are the amount of plays of an action that you have, but I think it would be clearer to say like you can spend like actions. I guess you could also interpret that to mean like you can spend action cards, so like you could still probably misinterpret it, but I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of the wording, but it doesn't matter. It makes like it's certainly more powerful effect this way, so that makes sense. And like it means there's always going to be plus buy to go along with your cost reduction, because like if nothing else, you can just not spend your one action and you get your plus buy.
Yes.
So yeah, having village like effects turn into excess buys is a pretty powerful thing to be able to do, I would say. Like if you think about like how good Workers Village is, for example, where you get like you accumulate excess buys.
Yes.
And like the buys aren't always useful like on the margin, but like having a lot of buys is useful because like you often use it to be able to like you can often convert that into pile pressure and things like that.
Especially when it's combined with a canal effect and then add any throne like to the scenario and you have sufficient buys.
Yeah. Now obviously Workers Village by giving you the buys is like doing more work there than like regular village would, but still, like there are of course plenty of, I mean, maybe plenty is too strong, I don't know. There are certainly boards where you end up with an excess of plus actions. If you're playing on a board with like champion or like academy, you're gonna be just like, well, I have basically infinite buys, so
yeah,
you know.
Yeah. How does it work with academy exactly? Can you just spend your villagers whenever? Surely not.
I assume that you will be able to do so at the end of your action phase. I think, unlike coffers, I think villages are restricted. But like they're in the same way that, you know, like you get the prompt for Snowy Village that says like, do you want to spend villagers before you go into your Snowy Village thing? Like I assume that there will be a similar thing going into your buy phase with this, or it's like you can spend any number of villagers to get like plus actions that you can then there will be another problem is like, okay, how many do you want to convert into buys?
Yeah. So Champion Academy, King's Court, or like Thrones in general. Yeah.
Well,
nice.
Of course, like you have to actually have plus actions, so it is worth noting that, for example, if your King's Court is doing like, you know, King's Court, Smithy,
no cantrips,
you know, terminal like payload, and then another King's Court, and another Smithy, and then like another terminal payload. Like if you're doing that kind of thing, you're not actually going to get plus actions, and so you won't have those to convert into pies. But like,
maybe the cards that your King's Court give you plus buys. So
well, sure, or they give you plus actions, right?
Yeah.
Like obviously, you know, that's that. It is something to note if you're specifically getting if you're getting your plus actions in certain kinds of like non-straightforward ways, or like then like that might only work as actions and not also work as buys. But like you just not all ways of increasing your terminal space can be converted to buys is maybe another way to put it. But yeah, so I would say I guess I think overall this was a tamer set of prophecies than yesterday's, which is not saying a lot. Like they're still pretty crazy. Enlightenment is very crazy.
Started with a bang.
But I mean, Enlightenment is still very crazy. Yes. I think Enlightenment is on a level with what we saw yesterday. I think the other two are like a little bit tamer, but still like altogether, like these 6 effects are some of the most like, you know, crazy effects we've seen in Dominion in general. So it's
really cool. Really cool.
definitely gonna be fun to play with these.
Absolutely. I think this card art is very, very landscape. So I think someone understood their assignment, and maybe that's like what I don't like about Enlightenment, because I feel like this is not like they didn't use the available space to the best possible like outcome. I like the Flourishing Trade. I think the art, I think it really brings like the bustling aspect across that I would associate with a name like that. I like it. No notes.
Of course, the most important thing about Flourishing Trade is that it will be another entry in the Dominion card substrings quiz on Jetpunk. So, because of course, trade is also a thing.
Yep.
So yeah, look forward to that being updated once the full set has released, as well as the art quiz and the name all the card shape objects quiz.
You got your work cut out
for you. I do. It's going to be a busy weekend or whenever I'm doing it.
Yeah. Are you gonna play in the Rising Sun one day?
That remains to be seen.
Okay.
That will be discussed.
All right.
But if there's like a proper, in quotes, release tournament, like, you know, that's like actually like a bracket and such, I will play in that. The one day thing is less like my preference for how to do this sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And particularly, like, I don't know, the format of like just like schedule matches with random people, like impromptu, like on the spot, I feel like is not like
it's not
as appealing
scheduling
to me.
a match, right?
Well, it's like you have to go in and be like, hey, who wants to play? And then like, okay, this, whoever wants to play, like, right at the moment.
It's ladder.
Yeah, without any of the matchmaking stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So like that, I feel like that has the, like, I don't know, depending on like who's playing in it, that has the potential to be, and like, timing wise, it's like you're trying to play fast because you want to get like more games in, and I don't know, that doesn't super appeal to me.
Yeah.
I don't like time pressure very much in general.
Yeah. This is supposed to be on DG, right? It's not on TGG.
Yeah. So there wasn't.
That seems like an optimistic.
Well, there was an announcement about that.
An optimistic.
Let's just go ahead and read through this. Steph yesterday said he is at a camp teaching kids how to sail.
Good on
His
you.
current plan is to make the test server publicly available when RGG publishes the rulebook Friday or Saturday. It'll be connected to the live database so people can just use their regular accounts and play rated games if they want. It will have Rising Sun cards available for free, regardless of your potential lack of subscription. And then next Monday, which I'm not actually sure if by that he means that like the following Monday, so a couple days later, if he means the Monday after that. But I'll close that server again, and hopefully the live server can take over. So I'm not sure if he's describing a situation that's going to last a couple days or a bit more than a week. But either way, there's going to be a period of time where you can play with the Rising Sun cards for free, and then it'll go back to kind of normal. So this will be the case when that one-day tournament happens, that everybody will be able to play with the Rising Sun cards without a sub, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, it's so nice. Yeah. Steph is such a benevolent overlord.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate not to get to be able to play with the previews right now, but like it definitely sounds like he was planning for a later release date, and then when it got moved up, he was like not, home.
Yeah,
which makes it difficult for him to.
Yeah, for sure. I hope he's having fun.
Yes.
And no kids are drowning.
Well, hopefully they're staying in the boats if they're sailing. Like, I think that's an important first step to be a successful sailor is to be able to stay in the boat that you are sailing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know though. I'm not a sailor, so I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, no, that sounds very cool. All right. Yeah, I feel like for me it's definitely, if I can play with the cards, I'm going to play with the red. I'm not going to bother with being stressed out about playing humans and trying to figure out these cards.
Yeah. Fair enough. Well, in the meantime, I think that's going to wrap things up for today.
Yeah, again, very exciting. New mechanics, prophecies continue to be exciting, and yeah, it seems like we're in for a big treat with this expansion.
Yeah, and the shadows as well. It's like kind of funny how they both were and weren't what I expected them to be, because I was expecting. Well, I wouldn't say expecting might be too strong. I thought like a stash like card back type thing was a real possibility, but I did not really consider the way that would work, and I think the way that it does work is a lot more elegant than anything I had come up with. So that's good. But yeah, those seem fun. We'll look forward to checking all of that stuff out this weekend.
Yep.
All right, so thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.